Hey everyone, welcome to the Permission to Play podcast, a creative talk podcast where you have permission to be creative and to experience everything that comes along with the process. We are your hosts, myself, Christina Barcy. We have Kyle Dallatore and Yelpy, and of course Lloyd Robeson. Let's get started. All right, welcome to P2P. That's the lingo for Permission to Play podcast. Hey, guys.
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah.
All right. So today we're talking about when to say yes or no. And we're not talking about drugs. We're not talking about sex. We're talking about your creative anything, creative projects, creative endeavors.
We're not talking about sex and drugs.
I mean, sure, we can throw that in.
I'm pretty glad you clarified that at the beginning.
I really want to talk about sex and drugs, but that's another day.
I know. We'll find space for it. If you can weasel it in somehow to the conversation, then I commend you, and then it's completely.
I think it's
okay.
I think it's a great time for us to vent and talk about how disdainful all that stuff is.
Oh.
Hey.
Okay. Not where I thought that was going. But yeah, so I associate this idea with boundaries, which, like when do you protect your space? Who do you let in? Who do you not let in? Like sometimes people get really excited about an idea you may have shared and they're like, oh my God, like, can we collaborate? And maybe they're like the opposite of what the type of energy you need involved in what you're trying to accomplish. And at least that's what I think of when we bring this up. But it was actually Kyle's idea for this topic, and I wanted to ask you, Kyle, what inspired this for us today?
Yeah, well, I think it's all cyclical. Things come in seasons, and some seasons are very abundant, and you've got a lot of things that are kind of a lot of irons on the fire. And some seasons are more fasting when, there's kind of not too much bubbling. So I think what came about this topic for me and getting to think about it is there was certain opportunities that were kind of coming my way that were great. And I was very, very excited about, and there was a lot. It seemed when I started to kind of do a little bit of time management and kind of section all these things out, it seemed like the calendar got filled very, very quickly. And I still had to figure out and I've got to work and make a living along with all these projects. So I think for me it was a good, and just like you said, Christina, it's kind of creating boundaries of kind of really doing a checklist before you commit to anything, which is a good lesson. Just kind of going through your own personal checklist of what is this project like? What are my overall goals? How is this project either feeding me creatively, financially? Is it with, am I going to do this because this is a group of people I want to work with? Or is this something that's going to kind of take me where I want to go? Or is it just something that speaks to me and I really just want to dive in this? It's very creatively fulfilling. And so to kind of I just learned for myself to kind of go through that checklist independently before I make a hard commitment to anything. And it was just for this particular period in time. So I thought it was really interesting to hear all of you guys kind of what's the checklist you kind of go through in terms of whether you accept a new project or a collaboration, and when you have to, and just kind of put that to the wayside and say, you know what, no, I'm going to have to say no to this one.
Yeah, that's a really nice sum up. The first thing I think of when I say saying no is I'm thinking of other people, but you're right. It's definitely not always just someone else, but it could be taking on too many projects, which, we all have so many ideas all at once. Sometimes it's which one is the one to pursue? I feel like that's the subtopic. It's which one do I hold on to and which one do I let go? And how do I know the difference? I think that's for me, maybe a subtopic to this. Anyone else have recent experience with
Yeah. So I first I think this is a very interesting topic for me, especially because I went through a point where I felt like I could be saying yes and no. And then I got to a point where it was like the option wasn't there. And now, I felt, okay, I just need to open myself up and say yes to everything because I was allotted or I was in a space where there wasn't much going on. And so I love this topic because it can come. There's a position of privilege where you have the opportunity to be like, nah, I that's not something I want, or yes, this is going to feed me. This is what's going to happen. And there's another position where, you have no choice but to say yes, because we as artists need to somehow be involved in something. And if you're not a part of communities or have the opportunity to be doing work, you need to say yes so that you can jumpstart yourself into the point where you're able to get to the point of privilege and be able to now think about things that are going to feed you. And that was the point I was at, because it really did help. Saying yes to everything really helped me to jumpstart my motivation and actually get to know the things that I wanted to do and the things that I didn't want to do. So have you guys been in a position where that's happened to you, where it was like, I just need to say, I need to jumpstart myself creatively and just get out there and be in positions that I might not like, or I might not, I might not enjoy, but I need to do them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me, it happens like we discussed this already in one podcast where we're talking about the lull period, or the period between things. For me, that happens between things. It's different for everyone. For me, that's how it goes down. And it's like you still have this passion to want to do stuff, but usually for me, they turn out to be like these types of projects, like smaller things, other people's things, while I'm kind of brain resting, but I still have the urge to like do stuff. And it's like, how do I do stuff if I don't have stuff I'm generating on my own right now? I'm either over like way too much stuff I want to do. I have too many ideas where I need to pick and choose, like which one do I let go? What do I put on hold? What do I keep? What do I pursue? Like there's that, like abundance version of that. And then there's this where it's like, what do I do? And then that's usually when I do the projects that, where I jump on other people's stuff. And then oftentimes it's like, I guess I'll do this. I have nothing else going on. And usually, to be honest with you, those experiences are unique in what I'm in saying that.
Specific choice?
Yeah, it is, because
unique.
because I don't always make the best decisions when I'm feeling that way, to be honest with you. And I say yes to things I would normally say no to. And so that's something I learned from like experience those two drastic differences, is like, okay, when I'm feeling like that, when I'm feeling like I just need to get going, I still need to have a level of boundaries, and I still need to have a better checklist. Kyle, like what you brought up about a checklist, I still need to have a better checklist is what I learned from that experience that I'm thinking of, that it was like a very unique, like different. We did a project. We did it. We finished it. I didn't enjoy the process at all, to be honest with you. It was a miserable experience, but you learn the most from those sometimes. And, I learned a lot about what I like, what I don't like, what I'm willing to bend and not bend at. Did I gain stuff from that experience? Totally. Did I get to write, an entire pilot? Yeah, I improved my writing, and I learned how to collaborate with people I don't like. Like, you figure out how to work through it anyway. But like
Have you guys gone through anything like that? Process that you did not like, but you learned?
Yeah, I went through something very, very similar to that, where I was in a period of I'm going to say yes to everything. And I think that was so, so, so important, just because of the sense that I absolutely learned a series of skills that I would never have touched or thought of to kind of dig in. But I think by learning that, I learned more about myself as an artist, of like, I understand and I can appreciate somebody who's doing this, but it's just not for me. And I know that feeling now. And that was really invaluable for me, because I can kind of identify that feeling in certain things when something kind of presents itself. And now it's just more in tune with the like I can respect that, but it's probably just not for me. But I'm
Yeah.
so glad I did that and just got to appreciate a totally different like view and art form. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up.
What about you, Yelpy?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm thinking about it. I think mostly I tend to say yes to things. I don't really, um, especially when it's got to do with music. I mostly say yes. The only times I say no is when I've done something that I didn't enjoy, and then I'm asked to do it again. I just don't do
Yeah,
that.
sorry.
But other than that, especially new things, like I like anything got to do with music. I don't really care what it is. I mean, I've been asked to do some crazy shit, and I've just done it. But when it's not got to do with music, I'm a bit more picky. Um, yeah, so like even like doing this, like this was fun. But like when people ask you things that aren't related to music, I can be very, I don't know.
Mm.
What's the funky stuff that somebody asked you to do, Yelpy? That was like really bizarre. Do you feel comfortable sharing?
Let me think. Like certain gigs where people ask me to, for example, Jonathan Martin, as Barcy knows, recently asked me to play like a gig opening that movie just by myself with an acoustic guitar, which is very odd. It's a very odd thing to do, but it was interesting, so I did it. And let's see, one of my friends asked me to do. She had a trailer for a movie, asked me to see if I could play along with the trailer, play live with the trailer, playing, those kind of things. They're kind of bizarre and weird things. And other things like when somebody asks you to do a gig in a place you've never been, in a venue you've never heard of.
Yeah.
They're all risky kind of things because you don't know what you're getting into. I usually say yes to those things especially because it's just me and my guitar. I'm not getting anybody else into trouble. It's just me. So
Yeah. I had one of those experiences when I was in graduate school. I ended up it wasn't something I could actually say yes or no to, and I did fight it a little bit. We did an event for Glide Church in San Francisco for recovering addicts and homeless people that were living in the TLs, and that's the Tenderloins for people who haven't been to San Francisco. And so I have no problem with philanthropical work. I had a problem with doing something for a church that was preaching like gospel about God and religion and things of that nature, because I'm not religious myself, and I feel that if I don't necessarily believe in it, why am I pushing it on other people? In this moment, I thought this, and I went through with the process, and I sabotaged my own self through the process. I didn't have a good time through the process, but we created some really, really awesome work. And when we presented it to the people of the Glide Church, the people loved it. And they loved what I did. And even walking down the street through the TLs, people would stop me and like, oh my God, because we had to write original pieces. And they were like, oh my God, your piece was amazing. Like, you understand what's happening, our struggle. And so I, at that point, realized that in that process, what I learned was it's not up to me to decide whether or not what I'm putting forth is of me. If it can help somebody else, then that's what it's for. And because I'm not religious doesn't mean I can't do something that is going to affect somebody through religion. And so that was one of the biggest things that I realized, especially as an actor. It's like, well, what am I going to do? If I was a vegetarian, I don't eat meat. Am I going to be in a movie where they're eating meat or be on a farm? Like, yeah, of course. So that was something I learned through resistance and through going through a process that I didn't have a good time through the process. And it was only my own self that got in the way and sabotaged my happiness through the process. And in the end, it wasn't about me.
I can give just while Lloyd was talking there, it reminded me of like two really similar examples of where I said yes to two things and they were very similar, and one was awful, and the other one was amazing. But they sound like exactly the same thing. So I was asked to play. I was asked to open up, one of those kind of catwalk things with models, kind of. So I was asked to do that a few times, but these two particular times, very close to each other, I was asked to do. And I did once, and basically I went there, and it turned out that this event was it was really made just to make money, and it had all these young models, and they all had to pay money to the guy organizing it.
Oh yeah, I know
so that they could model, and I was like, oh, I couldn't believe it. And when I found that out, I actually walked out on it. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I didn't want to be involved in that. And that was that was really bad. It was a really bad thing. And then I did something similar where this guy, I was playing a gig in the Viper Room. And this guy was at the gig, and he was sitting near the front, and he was leaving before my set was over. So being the Irishman I am, I was like, where do you think you're going? The set's not over yet.
Yelpy.
And so he actually ended up coming back in and sitting down for the end. And at the end of he came up to me and asked me he said he's doing this small modeling thing and if I'd be interested in playing at it. I was like, yeah, sure, definitely. I didn't know any of the details. So then when the date was getting closer, it actually turned out it was this huge event. Like it was it was in the House of Blues. When I got there was a big red carpet thing, people like lining up around the corner. It was all paparazzi and all this. And I walked up and I got the whole VIP treatment, was in the back and all that. Ended up playing like a 2-hour set with all these supermodels walking around.
Oh shit!
It was phenomenal.
Wow.
You had a fucking ball.
Sweet gig.
He just asked me at the end of a gig if I wanted to do his little, and he kept calling it a little thing. It was huge.
Wow. That's like a good lesson in like you never know.
Yeah.
Things presented to me in exactly the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I say yes to both of them. But what I did learn is that the first one, that guy, if he did ask me to do something else, I said no to that. Like,
yeah.
Dude, I said no to.
Yeah, that reminds me of the project I was talking about earlier that I was like, I hated this process. They've asked me to do other things, and I'm like, no way. Like, no. Nope. I would never work with you again.
I've been there, and I'm like, to this day, I still have a bad taste in my mouth, and I'm like, nah, nope. Like, if I still get emails from these people, and I'm like, nah, hell no. There's no way I will ever work or see or be a part of anything that you got going on.
But it's a good lesson to learn, though. It is. It's a good...
Definitely. I learned a lot from that experience I'm thinking of because it was a long experience. It takes a long time to create a full finished project. This was a writing project, so that takes a long ass time. And I was walking into someone else's idea, and that was tough. And we were strangers to start, so it was interesting, very interesting. Yeah.
Have you guys ever found yourself in a position where you've overfilled your plate and there's like no way you can take on something, but then like something you truly really want to do comes along? Like, has that happened to anybody? And like, how do you what is the process in which you handle that?
Oh, I usually try to juggle it at first. You know, like I try to juggle it in and see if there's room for it. I may say yes at first, and I'm thinking of a couple of different examples. One very easy one that I got out of was when I think it was this early in the year, I came across an opportunity to like join a theater company from ground up, and I was like, oh, that would be so great. And it was female forward, completely like all women, and just like a collective of minds that were gonna get together and like build this thing. And I was like, yeah, I want to go to that. And then like when the day came to go to the meeting, I was like, where the hell am I going to find time for that in my life? Like, I'm trying to build so many other things right now in my own life. Like, not that, I mean, this is someone else's vision. So, you know, trying to add that into everything I'm trying to do just seemed, I was like, no, I think I have to, you know, bow out of this one. And there'll be other opportunities for me, and I just have to trust that. And I think that's, for me, I've learned how to, like, let that kind of thing go in finding the trust that if that needs to be, and what the timing will come for me to be involved
it's such
again.
A tough decision.
I love
It's a
theater
tough
and I miss
decision.
it so bad.
Yeah.
So
It's like, you know, you come up against whether or not your word is your bond versus me trying to get ahead. Because I've come up against positions where you know, my plate was super full, and this project came along that I was like pumped. I was so pumped on it, but I had given my word to somebody already shooting another film, and it was cast, and we were going to shoot, but then this thing was on the same day, and so I had to forego something I truly wanted to do because I believe my word is my bond. I know there are certain things in this reality that will take me away from that, but right now you know, if I say I'm going to do something, a project, and I'm going to do that project, I'm not going to bow out for another project if I can help it. You know,
Yeah,
like
I'm definitely of that opinion. If I say I do something, I really try and do it. Like,
yeah.
yeah, I do as well. And I know that I do that to a fault. So through these recent experiences, I'm learning to kind of put myself at the top of that list instead of other people a little bit more. Not, you know, I still do believe that. I just think that I have to let go of it a little bit, or else it's not good for anyone. Because, you know, now I'm giving, you know, 20% instead of 100%. So what's the better evil here? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think it does, you know, call for a little more evaluation than, you know, of course you put your rules in place of how you want to conduct yourself when you speak to people. And I think we're all good at not being the LA yes type of person where we just say yes to things because we're like, that sounds great. Like, yeah, I want to do it. And then you just always bow out because you always have too much on your plate, or you you really do just make the choice at the last minute. Like, well, I'd rather go here than there. I know that I said yes to both, but everybody knows that I'm just going to pick what I want anyway at the end.
Please do not be one of those people. They are so like,
so
man,
many
I
of them.
like that.
There's so
Like,
many of them.
They're like, yeah. And then like the day of, they're like, oh, I can't make it. And you're like, fuck. Like, you couldn't tell me that like 2 days ago?
No, it feels like people pick the best thing at the time. And kind of going back to what I think everybody hit on is kind of maintaining your integrity and understanding that my word is all that I really have. Like, all I have is my word, and that is gold. And I can't tarnish that. It's very delicate. And the very inert belief that whatever is supposed to come to you will come. If it's not this particular project, if this is really supposed to be your baby, it'll swing around, something will happen. Like, you will get to make that art that you're supposed to make. But just the inherent belief that, you know what, like, taking a step back, this is not my make or break. Like, this is it. This is the one thing, and this is all it's going to be. So I need to do this now. Yeah. And so I think that, you know, maybe it's the city in particular. I'm not really sure. But there does seem to be that I'm going to say yes to everything, and then I'm going to pick which one is going to do me the best service at the time, and what I want to do at the time. Because I don't want to make a choice. I just want to do it.
I don't know how I'm going to feel that day.
Right?
Well, I think that kind of speaks to all of it. Is like knowing for those people, for people that don't do that as well, like us, and anyone else who doesn't do that, it really does speak to, again, coming back to really knowing yourself and knowing your checklist, knowing your boundaries, knowing what you're capable of, knowing when it is too much, knowing when, you know, I bowed out early enough that I didn't feel like this theater experience. I let go of it early enough that I felt like it was okay. I didn't want to show up for a meeting and then be like, I can't do this. Like, it felt like I felt myself already like fighting with it. And I was like, if I'm already fighting with this now, this is not going to be good for anybody. So it's like knowing that, though, where I would have shoved that down before and be like, nope, I said I was going to go. I'm going to figure it out. But eventually it was going to fizzle out anyway. Like, being able to learn that and having those other experiences where you like forced yourself through it and then like had either a good experience or a bad experience from it, but learning through that experience and then coming out of it, kind of understanding your boundaries a little bit better, understanding yourself better, your checklist, what this time of your life looks like versus this one, and how much you can take on in those scenarios.
And I think you said something. Sorry, go ahead, Alan.
No, I was just saying, do you not, like for me, for example, when people cancel on me or whatever, I'm very hard on those people. Like, if someone cancels on me, like the last minute type thing, those types of people, I never ask those people for anything to do anything ever again. I usually only give those people one chance. And then likewise,
you're so cutthroat.
I really am when it comes to that. And I also the other way, when somebody has done something for me and then they ask me to do something, I almost say yes before they even tell me what it is. Yeah. Like, I'm almost like yes straight away, like to a fault almost,
Yeah, I can
think
attest
you
to
said
that.
Something really cool, Christina, and that I think is extremely important. Putting yourself at the top of your own priority list, but in a way that's respectful to everyone else around you. And it's not an extremely selfish view, but it's a self-enhancing and a self-realizing view of I need to take care of myself. And when especially me, when I was younger, I was all about everybody else. I wanted to like please everybody else and make sure that I was in everybody's good graces. I didn't want anybody to not like me. And now, I have started to go, okay, what's going to make me happy? What's going to make me the happiest? And I need to make sure that whatever I'm doing is pushing me to where I need to get to. Mm-hmm. And I will sacrifice somebody not liking me to get there if that occasion happens to come up, right? Because and especially if I do it in a respectful way, right? Like, if it's 3 weeks out to a project and something comes up, and I have another project that I'm like, oh my God, this is a great film. I need to be in this film. And I talk to the director, hey, listen, I got another opportunity. I'm not afraid to have that conversation anymore. And I think it's an important conversation to be able to have. But I think that comes with understanding that you have to prioritize yourself, but in a respectful way to others.
Yeah. And like, it comes back, the way it helps me sort of understand it, or what helped me understand it originally and still is knowing that if it's not something I really want to do, if it doesn't feel aligned with what I want anymore, then I'm not the only one suffering. Anyone else who's involved in it with me is going to get not the best product out of me. They're not going to get the best work out of me. They're not going to get the best me. So they're not going to get the best whatever they need, out of the commitment. So, it's like getting dragged. This is like a dumb analogy, but like getting dragged to a dinner you don't want to go, that you weren't expecting to go to, and hanging out with people you don't want to hang out with. And you're just going to be kind of a dick the whole time because you're like, I don't want to fucking be here.
You're going to
know what I mean?
Don't be putting that shit on me.
Or just kind of like, those moments where you're just like, oh, I don't like that I feel this way, but I'm having a really tough time coming out of my funk because this doesn't feel good to me. Yeah. And it's like, not that you're going to go to that extreme. You're going to go and you're going to try to do your best, most likely, but your best is going to be like less than it would if you felt aligned with what you're putting yourself, the position you're putting yourself in. So you kind of have to put yourself first, I think in all your choices. And then from there, what, if you're taken care of, the things around you get better taken care of.
100%.
I think it's a bit of both though, huh? because
Yeah.
because you can't always put yourself first, because that will be, for example, if you do that, like sometimes you have to do things that you're only okay about because
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
person has done something for you, and
100%.
you know that that person would do it for you, and so and usually I don't have problems with that.
Well, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like if I
Yeah.
give you the example again, when Jonathan asked me to play, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go to Utah and spend 10 days in Utah and then play one song. I 100% did not want to do that,
Yeah.
but I'm glad I did.
I mean, there's a thing about love, man, and you have like I think once you respect yourself, you start to realize the people around you who you want to help, who you want to keep in your life, and who you want to see succeed. And so for
Yeah.
me, that starts to make me want to do. I'll do anything. I don't give a fuck what it is.
But
You
that's
know,
a
like
motivating factor as well. Like, that's going to motivate me to be like, well, it's worth it to me now. And I just mean, like,
yeah.
what I was saying doesn't negate that scenario whatsoever. Because
Oh,
those
at
things
all.
are still serving you, because that person, like you said, it's served by love, it's served by trust, it's served by friendship, it's served by all these things that you're like, look, I would do anything for this person, and I will find a way to make that happen for them. That's still motivating. That still like feels good to me. Even if it's like the act itself is like, I don't want to help you move. That sucks.
Yeah, fuck
Like
that.
nobody wants to do that. Do I want to drive you to the
Exactly.
LAX? No, but
I don't do that though. I don't do that. I don't.
I
go
know.
to
That's why I
that-
said it.
Take a Uber.
Friends, yeah.
Yeah,
friends
Lloyd,
do not
that's
ask
Lloyd's.
friends to drive to LAX. That's not a
Nope.
friend. If you're
That's not
asking
a
me for
friend.
a ride to LAX.
But that's
Take
the
an
thing,
Uber
like,
or call a cab.
I do
Shut
that all the time.
Oh
But
my
that's
God,
how you
Yelpy, I'll give you
know.
money to drive for an Uber to LAX.
And I just recently went to New York and I Ubered, and it was so expensive. It was like
oh,
it
well,
was
you're
50.
from.
It was 50 from here, and then when I came back, it was 80.
What?
It was 80 from the airport to here,
It's because you live in
LAX to
freaking
you?
Malibu.
because
Well-
it was on, because he said that Sunday is more expensive.
It was
Yeah, the surge.
surging.
All right,
Surge
next
prices.
time, leave
they
your
got
car at my
taxis.
place, then Uber.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There you
Just
go.
saying, we're 20 minutes from the airport.
you go.
But
Friends let
y-
friends park in their driveway that live closer to LAX.
Chris, park in there. That's what I used to do. I'm like, yo, you could park at my house and take an Uber.
but that's how you know that I fucking love you, if I offer to take you to the airport.
Yeah, man.
If I'm
Right.
like, do you need a
Collective.
ride?
I
Then
have
you
dropped
know.
so many people at the airport and picked so many people up from the airport.
Oh, you're so wonderful.
That's-
I got a question, and this
That's an
probably
Irish
does not
thing.
apply
Just
to
kidding.
Yelpy because he is like the sweetest, nicest dude ever. We've established that.
Yes.
Have you guys ever had to say no to a friend, and it hurt, but you just had to be like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not
Like
going
what?
to do that project. Like,
Oh, okay.
no, not in real life. I mean, in projects and in your artist community.
Yeah, there was a time, but it was because like my involvement was not going to serve that person or the project. It's like, you do not, like, I can't, like, it's just not gonna, I can't give you even 50% right now. I love that you asked me. I'll do something else for you that will help. But the thing that you're asking me to do is like, I want your project to be great, and I'm just not the person for that role. Can I do something else? Because I would hate for the ball to drop with me. I thought that was the worst thing that could happen. Like, I'd be given this responsibility and I just couldn't manage it. So it hurt though. It was really like, it sucked. But I'm really glad I didn't do it, because I did not, like, I barely did the thing. He was like, well, could you do this? And I was like, oh, I will do that for you because I love you. Yeah. Anybody else?
That's tough.
The only thing that comes to mind for me right now is more like saying no to like an aspect of something that I was doing, like collaborating with, like a part of the job that so I'm building my podcasting business, and someone's like, oh yeah, people are pitching for me a lot and sending me people, which is fucking great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. It's amazing. But sometimes they say things that I don't do. Like, they'll add services that are not part of my services. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, oh yeah, what if da 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 da, you know? And then they're like, oh, I told them that you'll do this, that, and the other, and then I got to shut it down and be like, actually, no, like I don't know why you think I do that. But that's not what I do. At least not at this stage, and you know, shut that down real quick. But it's like, it's tough because that's tricky to me because these people are huge advocates for me and they are trying really hard to like help me grow, and they're excited with me, for me, and they are really helping out and giving me clients and things like that and collaborating and, you know, all of this good stuff. But sometimes it's like there's a little bit of a misconception. Like the specific thing that they were talking about, I did for them. So they kind of misinterpreted that is part of it. And I'm like, no, I do that for you. I do that for you because I would do anything for you. Going back to that other conversation, you know, this person's like a mentor of mine I've known for a long time and circled back into my life recently through this. And I was like, no. Like, I would do whatever you want. You want me to do something, I'll do it. But that's us.
Yeah.
That's not for other people. Don't tell people that's what I do. So
it's very similar to what happened to me with that. It was a friend of a friend. And for me, it really hurt because, you know, if my friend is vouching for something and it's like, oh, you need something. My boy Lloyd, he's got you. Like, he's got you. Don't worry about it. And then they call me and like, hey, I need you to help my friend out. Now that's even a bigger favor to ask because now it's not my reputation. It's his reputation on the line with this other person. And they just overestimated the skills I had doing in something because I did it for myself. I don't even know how the fuck I accomplished it, but I did it. And it turned out great. And I guess they just thought I could do it. And so they like some guy, they was looking for something and they like sent them to me and they were like, oh no, you know, he'll take care of you. Don't you worry about it. This guy writes me this beautiful email like, hey, you know, I really need something done. Like, and, you know, Rondrell, he says you're great at this and, you know, blah, 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 like all flowers and shit. And I was just like, oh my God, dude, I'm sorry. I don't know what he told you I could do, but I can't do that. Oh, it felt so terrible. And then I had to call my friend. It was like, Dree, I can't, I don't know how to do that.
You know what? That exact thing has happened to me as well 2 or 3 times from the same person who keeps recommending me for the same thing. And I'm like, I don't, like, thank you. I love that you think that I'm this accomplished whatever, fill in the blank. But, yeah, they're probably not going to want to work with me because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
That's too much pressure, man. That's too much pressure.
I can't. Yeah, like I can't contribute at the level that they would be expecting at this juncture in life.
So what keeps happening to me is so when I came here first, I did acting, you know, in UCLA, and that's where I met most of my friends. But I'm not an actor. I was just doing it for shits and giggles, you know. And I'm not a fan of the whole acting thing at all. But I keep getting asked to do acting things. And one of my friends, particularly Susanna, who produces a lot of stuff, she's got in her head that I can act, and I cannot act. But I always say yes to her things because she's just the nicest person in the world, and you can't say no to her. Mm-hmm. And even like recently, I told you I did that T-Mobile thing, and I was basically all of a sudden like I said yes, and an hour later I was on set with a leaf blower and a hat and goggles blowing leaves. I'm like hell like gayer.
Be terrifying at some point in childhood to like get snippets of when you're an adult, like just like snapshots of like this is your life.
Yes. Oh my God.
How do I get there?
Yeah.
I posted an Instagram on New Year's Eve. I posted a picture collage of that, and that was for some reason I read that this morning, so it's funny that you say that because I was like, if someone told me last New Year's that this is what this year would have looked like, I would have been like, that's bullshit. There's no way. I don't know why I would end up in those places, which are amazing things that have been on my bucket list forever. So I mean, it was great, but if someone showed that to me, I would have been like, You're crazy, you know. So yeah, it'd be funny to have like a funny
Do you
one.
know what's really funny? I don't know if I told you guys this. One of my many funny Hollywood stories, but this one's is particularly when I was a kid. I used to love Austin Powers. I used to love that Austin Powers.
Love
Fucking
Austin
loved Austin
Powers.
Powers.
Love
But,
Austin
and I
Powers.
watched the
Okay,
first one like a
movie
billion
night.
times.
We
Hmm.
need a movie night, Austin Powers movie night.
Well, so check this out. So I think I told you. I don't know if I told you this, but I was out on a date one time with this girl, and I had just watched Austin Powers again the night before. This is just recently. So she was texting a friend to tell her friend the date was going well. And I was saying to her, "Oh, I just watched Austin Powers." I don't know, I can't remember what the story was. But she just says, "Oh, that's funny you should say that." Because I'm texting my friend, she was in Austin Powers. I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Who was she in Austin Powers?" And then she was like, "Oh, she was Miss Vagina. You know Miss Vagina?
Elizabeth
Yeah.
Hurley?
Miss Vagina. No,
Yeah.
Miss Vagina.
Wait, who? Oh,
This
I
story-
got really.
Vagina?
I wanted you to say Elizabeth Hurley so bad that any character would be like Elizabeth Hurley.
No, but this is
No.
where the story gets really cool, right? So I'm like, "Oh, Miss Vagina, I love her. She's great. She's your friend." She goes, "Yeah, that's my friend." I was like, "Oh, cool." And then the next
Oh.
day, the morning after, I was talking to a friend on the phone from Ireland, and my phone goes off on Facebook, like Facebook's Messenger, and it's Miss Vagina, and she's messaging me, and she's like, "How did your date go last night, Alan?" I was like, "Is this Miss Vagina messaging me?" I'm on my phone to my friend. "I think Miss Vagina's messaging me," and then I check it out, and I go, "She's my Facebook friend. She's been my Facebook friend for like 2 years, and I didn't even know it was her."
Shut
Her
up!
name was a lot of vagina.
Yes,
Yeah,
a lot of vagina.
her name is
A lot of
Fabiana.
vagina.
Vagina.
She's a musician
A
now.
lot of vagina.
Ah.
Oh, she's a musician.
Yeah, that's why she
Wow.
was on my Facebook.
Oh,
Like,
how wonderful.
I actually had talked to her before on Facebook, and I did not know that's who she was.
Oh,
That's
cool.
amazing. That's definitely a Hollywood story, right?
But if you could tell me as a kid when I was watching Austin Powers, "Hey, you're going to be dating her friend and texting her the next day," I'm like, "Shut."
No.
No.
Right.
Her chance
That
to
is so
dream.
Her chance to live.
Aw.
What was your favorite movie as a kid?
You guys go.
Baseballs.
Oh, I love Spaceballs.
Baseball's a good movie.
The
And
Schwartz.
I'm gonna get you, sucker. My brother to this day, he always jokes about how I used to watch that movie on repeat. I would watch it from the beginning of the day until I went to bed, just on repeat. I would just have it going.
Do you remember The Last Starfighter?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. I think Nick has it.
Wait.
No.
No, I don't remember that one. What did I
That's
like?
why I play video games. I'm going to be recruited one day.
I mean, how young are we talking? Because,
Whatever.
I mean, Winnie the Pooh is my favorite.
Oh. How did I know?
Tigger. I love Tigger's voice. Tigger.
Yeah.
T.I. double good.
Tigger.
This is how much I liked Winnie the Pooh because my mom fell in love with Winnie the Pooh because I watched it so much as a kid. And to this day, like, her and I still quote Winnie the Pooh all the time. Like, it's pretty lame. but
Really?
we love it. There's like a Winnie the Pooh quote for everything in life.
Yeah.
So sweet. It's
There
so
truly
sweet.
is.
There's a somebody took Winnie the Pooh, the story, and turned it into
A poo.
a Tao book, like a Zen, like philosophy.
Oh yeah, the Tao of Pooh.
And they just use the
Yes,
qu-
thank
and
you.
The Tao
The Tao of Pooh.
My mom's super into poo as well.
Yeah.
Dude.
It's a really good book. It's like pretty accurate. Have you read it?
Yeah, I
No.
read it when I was at her house. It is. It's really like it's apt.
Yes,
It's like
it is.
It's really
Um,
it's kind of on the bullseye.
On the nose.
Yeah.
I would love to get that. I'm probably going to go on Amazon and order that. If you guys would love a copy of the Tao Poo, we'll have that in the comment section below.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show
Also,
notes.
if there's anybody watching that is associated with Pooh Bear, we'd love to have you on.
Yes, please.
Yes. Oh, that would be amazing. That would
Anybody
be like
listening?
my little kid
Trying
dream
to-
come true.
Trying to make dreams come true here, guys. Trying to
My
make
mom would
dreams-
definitely listen to that episode.
Did you guys ever watch Hook? Remember Steven Spielberg's Hook?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
Yes.
the failed Steven Spielberg movie.
I liked that.
Oh my god, I
loved
love that
it.
movie.
I know when I like people call it like a failure, and I saw that. Yeah,
Wasn't
right?
Dustin Hoffman Hook? Was it
Yes,
Yeah.
Dustin Hoffman, Captain Hook, like Robin Williams. Like there was a whole but like the entire cast, like Bob. I mean,
Bob
it was
Hope?
so good.
Bob Hope, yeah.
Was it Bob Hope?
Ruby.
What?
Oh.
That was Bob
Bob
Hope.
Hope.
Was it Bob Hopkins?
Bob Hopkins, yeah.
Oh,
The English actor.
He was
Okay.
so good. Oh, Smee, he was just the best Smee, and the soundtrack
really
is so
good.
good. My mom, I mean, I went to the theater. I begged her to keep going back and back, and we must have gone like 5 times matinees, like every time, and she was like, "We can't keep doing this," and I was like, "One more time, Mom, one more time." And I remember I had chicken pox, and she's like, "You cannot go into the theater with chicken pox. You're going to get other kids like infected." I was like, "But I really want to go see Hook." And listen, she's a great mom, but she took me.
Oh no.
Like, and she put me in 2 hoodies. I totally remember this because I was just sweating the entire time, like watching Hook, like just like eating Junior Mints, being like, "This is the happiest I'll ever be." And I'm so itchy. This is awful.
Oh my
my
God.
God.
You're going to
Your
show up
mom.
on one of those commercials. If your child got chicken pox in a Hook film in 1998,
oh my god.
please call us now. Please call us now.
Stop
Holy
it. Yeah.
shit. But you know that your mom felt so bad for you for having chicken pox that she was like, how do I just say yes to this? Like, how do I just make it happen?
And I
Yeah,
think she,
that's a real yes and no scenario.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a true
Great
yes
circle
and no
back.
scenario.
all
That's
tied
right.
up in a bow.
I
Oh
love
my
it.
God.
Oh, that's so great. All right. That's our show. Thanks, you guys. We had a great time, and we'll see you next time.
Dreams can't come true.
Thank you so much for listening from all of us here at Permission to Play podcast. We hope you invite a little more creative space and permission into your day. We'd love to hear what you think by leaving us a review on iTunes. Please subscribe and share, and you can also find all of us on social media. Till next time, and don't forget to play.